Hello class. This is a short little exercise for converting PDFs, especially multi-page PDFs, into individual TIFF files that you can start to convert and format for your portfolio. So this first part of the exercise is to look at a PDF that has multiple pages and how you can convert that into individual files that you can start to work with. So what I have here is, as we discussed in class, is we have two folders. One where I'll have the projects and the starting file that I'll be modifying, and we'll call these action examples. And then of course I have the other folder which we call action fixed, and this is where the final file will go for us to be able to utilize for the InDesign format. So first thing I want you to do is I put in here in projects. So here's my example. So in the folder I actually have one just projects. I'm going to open up the portfolio. So I have here a 17-page document with different images on it that I would like to pull back into a portfolio. So there's a couple ways you could do it. One, you can go up here to Tools and you can do an Export PDF. So for instance, if I did it this way, I can open. I'm going to go down here to Image, and what's nice is I have TIFF, and then don't hit Export All Images, because typically what that'll do is it'll go into those individual files and it'll actually break everything apart. So if you are going to use this one in export, do not hit the Export All Images unless you want the PDF to be pulled apart into all these different quadrants. So this will actually kick them out as a TIFF file that will be individual pages. So this is one way. I'm not going to use this particular one because I want a little more control over what I'm exporting. So I'm going to go back here to my image. Let me see, I'm going to get out of that. So let's go up here to File, and we can export. You can see here, same thing. We'll export a lot of the same things were shown before. Now let's go over here to Image, and we're going to go TIFF. Now what I like about this one is that I can actually go into Settings, and I can get very specific. So I'm going to have an embedded RGB file format. Right now I'm showing color space color. It's RGB. And I've made my resolution pretty high. You can actually, if you see here, you can go pretty high. I would stay in that. Since we want to have our final format images around 350, I would go a little higher. We can always come down. Always seems like the quality disappears if you go the other way. So we're going to say 600 pixels per inch. I have CMYK off. I have grayscale off. I have quality of my JPEG images at maximum, and so there again, looks good. Say OK. Now here, I'm going to take that portfolio exercise. As soon as I say save, you'll see that it's starting to convert all those 17 pages into TIFFs. So this is a very slick tool that's in the Adobe Acrobat Pro, which you should have on your computer. And then once we get that, I'll show you where that shows up on your machine or in your folder. And then we can start the next process working with Photoshop. Almost there. So now I can close that. So there's that portfolio exercise I just had open. But now you can see every single one of my pages are now individuals, and of course they are exported in the order that you take them out. So if you have that, need to reference where that was, you're in good shape. So now we have 17 individual images that are already formatted in TIFF, so that simplifies a little bit in our next exercise. So next thing I did is I actually pulled all those folders out of that project folder. I've also added another one that will, I'll show you how you can add additional files and how it can be batch processed pretty quickly once you start to get additional projects that you want to do. So if we go back up here, I've got my 17 images, And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to Photoshop, and we're going to set up a actions. So you can find actions. Let's see. So if you don't have this open like this, what you can do is you can, where are we here? Go here to Window, and you can see Actions. The other is if you do Command Alt F9, that will also open it up, and then you'll get these actions. So what I have done is, it starts out there's like a default folder. So if you go down here to the bottom, you can see Create New Sets. So I'm going to make a set that's specifically tied to this class. So I have ARCH2201 exercises, so I've made that set. And within that set, I've added an action called TIFF Resized. So here I'm going to click on this, and I am going to start recording. So one of the first things I want to do is open up one of those files that I had just converted into it from a PDF to a TIFF. And I am going to open. And so go to the desktop, examples, and I'll just pick page 1. Will open. So now I can go up here, have the file open, and so next thing for me to do is we're going to change the image size. So as before, I came in out of the PDF, so everything was kind of formatted 8.5 by 11. You can see that the size is a little bit different, and my resolution, of course, is at 600. So I'm going to convert that to 350, and then I'm actually just going to simplify and just make sure all my images are 11 inches. So there again, what it'll do is it'll open up all my files, and they'll convert everything to this size. So if you decide you want yours 11 by 17 or another format, this is where you would want to set this up. There again, I've got inches and then pixels per inch, and we should say OK. So now the image has been resized. So every image that pulls in from that folder will get, I would have this as a resizing basic on from one to the next, or from one size down to a more workable format that we want for the InDesign file. So after I've done that, then I'm going to do a save as, and so I don't want it to save on top of the existing folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to my desktop, and I want to look for our landing folder or target folder. So that one's going to be my fixed. And so then I do save. What I've done is keep quality pretty high, set maximum on a JPEG image, byte order IBM, of course, is a PC, and say OK. And then I'm going to come over here. So one of the things that, as you can see, as I did this, I had this recording. Now that I'm done, I want to turn that off. And so now I'm done with this setup for an action. So now I can close this. Excuse me. So if I go back, next thing I want to do is we're going to batch process. So I'm going to close this. You can see I have that portfolio page 1 over here. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want, because the next step I'm going to show you, you'll see that I'll actually have an extension on this, because sometimes that helps for other programs to open it up. But I'm going to go up here and I'm going to delete it. And so that just went in my junk folder, so I've got a clean folder. So now let's go back up here to Photoshop, and we're going to batch process. So you want to go down here to in File, pull down, and you see Automate, Batch. So click on that. You're going to get this folder. So normally this would open up with default actions, but since I set up the my own folder of actions I've got for this class, and then here's the TIFF resized. So I'm going to, one of the things I have here is override action open command. So what this does is, actually, since I have an open command within my actions over here, I want to override that. So if you click on that, it'll give you, so if I click on it, you can see it'll give you a little band, kind of explains how this the open command will be based on what's on the action, and that's fine. I'm not going to include the subfolders, that's why I pulled everything into that main folder. And then go over here to the folder. My destination folder is, so there again, click on the desktop, and I'm going to place them in actions fixed. So there again, I have the document name, and I'm including the extension. And I say OK, and you'll start to see the batch processing of each one of those files. So if you have a lot of them, you can go take a break for a little bit while your computer is processing these images. I only have 17, so this should go fairly quickly. Okay, so let's go back, and now we can start to see all my 17 images have been updated. They are now, whereas these were 600 dpi, these are now 350. So let's just open up one as an example. Let's see the image size, 350, 11 inches wide. Perfect, just what I need. So there again, once you set those commands, you can be very specific about how they're, it can be large format, small format, depending on what you want. But there again, you can start to come in here and then grab from these images what you need. So now, as I close Photoshop, got those. So once I've done this, one thing that's kind of slick about this is once you've got that process put in place, we can do another project pretty quickly. So I'm going to open up recent work. There again, kind of a 15-page document. And I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to export image TIFF. There again, my settings, once I've set them, they should be consistent. So I'm OK there. And then I am going to load them back into that same folder. And you can see it's processing the TIFF folders. So we have 15 of those images that will be kicking out. Patience. There we go. So now I'm going to close this folder, and I'm going to look in here to my examples, and I'll see now I have those additional pages that are in here. So what's nice about that is now that I've set this destination and everything up, I can go back into Photoshop. Here, I'll show you real quick. So there again, I only have my 17 images. I'm going to go back into Photoshop. File, Automate, Batch. Same, all the settings are there. I say OK. You're going to see it's going to go through. So if you take some of those, once you've converted those folders, if you want to pull those images out of that folder, they won't get converted. But if you modify or add anything into that folder, it'll grab everything in that folder and kick them out. So as you can see here, it's going through those original 17. Now it's starting to add the additional ones that I have just brought in from another PDF. So there again, helps you to start to kind of convert things in large groups, especially if you have made PDFs with contract construction documents or other kinds of documents that you had made before for presentation. And so this becomes a really helpful tool. And so then once I'm done, there again, if I go here and look, all of these have been converted. So if I open that file up, image size, there again. Now this is taller because of the proportions, but so it controlled the width of 11 inches, but now my resolution is still at 350 and it's a TIFF file. So now there again, this can help you start to really organize your images so that you can start to build your portfolio. So hopefully this helps, and I'll talk about this more in class.